The story is about a guy named Yaron who was raised in Israel, and his parents taught him right and wrong, and good and bad. And then one of the things that they taught him was that religious people, especially Hasidim, especially Haredim, especially ultra-Orthodox, they are the epitome of evil. And anytime religious Jews were depicted in the news or in the media, his parents would point to them and say, "See those people? Stay away from them. They're nothing but trouble." But then when there were, let's say, terrorist incidents where an Arab would detonate a bomb, a suicide bombing, or a stabbing attack, his parents would teach their son, you got to try and look at things from all different perspectives. For some people, they view themselves as freedom fighters. And we got to try to understand their pain and their suffering and what they're going through, and we sort of try to give them the benefit of the doubt. And Yaron asked his parents, I was wondering why, for the religious Jews, you're very quick to judge that these are terrible, evil people. But for the terrorists, you sort of seem to be flexible in your judgment. And his parents said, well, we have to be honest with you. You're actually adopted. And we found you in a garbage can outside of Hadassah Hospital in Jerusalem. And we asked in the hospital within, you were a newborn baby, we asked inside, they inquired, they researched, and they figured out that you were from a religious family that had 12 children, and they couldn't feed anyone else. They just dumped you in the garbage can. And from that moment on, we knew that religious people are hypocrites and they are evil. And Yaron, when he grew up, he became even more antagonistic towards religious Jews. How could his parents abandon him like that, drop him in the trash? When he became a lawyer and he moved to North Tel Aviv, far away from any semblance of religion, he did not want to see religious people, did not want to hear prayers, did not want to see religious Jews. He was in his sanctuary, free from religion. And then one day, some of the younger secular Jews in the community started to become inspired and started to get connected to Torah, and they decided to start their own makeshift synagogue in the community. And he was so upset. When Yaron heard the prayers and he heard what was happening, he started investigating all different avenues, legal avenues, to shut them down. Perhaps they're violating the noise ordinance. Perhaps there's too many people in one room at a given time. And he was researching and checking, and he just could not find anything they had done wrong. And he was so upset. For Rosh Hashanah, he decided he was going to flee the area. He booked a hotel in Eilat, figured he'll go there and just stay away from religion, stay away from these people. And then he missed the flight. He was stuck home for Rosh Hashanah. The next day, on Rosh Hashanah day, he went out for a jog, and he jogged past the makeshift synagogue. And as he was jogging past it, he heard the sound of the shofar. And at first, he was very upset. Look at this noise. They're disturbing the peace. Thank you, Baruch. It was just painful. And on the other hand, it was somewhat inspiring and uplifting. And he just felt drawn to the sound. And he decided to actually take a peek inside the synagogue, sort of go behind enemy lines, scout them out, see what's going on. And he was just amazed, just fixated on the person blowing the shofar. And the next day he decided he's going to come back. He's going to see what's going on again. He watched and he listened. And after the services, he went up to examine the shofar. And then the person that blew it walked over, introduced himself. And Yaron asked, "Are you the musician who blew the shofar?" And he said, "Well, I'm not really a musician. I'm a rabbi, and I'm about okay. I blew a shofar." He said, "Well, what sort of music school did you go to be trained in blowing the shofar?" He said, "Well, actually, I didn't go to a music school. I went to a yeshiva. But in my family, my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, all of us, 5 generations, were all natural shofar blowers. Without any training, we just pick up a shofar and we could blow it." And they started talking more. And the man mentioned he's the family with 12 children. He's one of 12 children. And that he actually was born with a twin brother who had been lost. And he mentioned his age. He's 42 years old. Yaron said, I'm also 42 years old. Yaron said, what day were you born on? He said, I was born on February 12th. Yaron said, I was also born on February 12th. And Yaron started to, he said, what hospital? Hadassah Hospital, Jerusalem. And Yaron couldn't take it anymore. He said, you know what? My parents told me what your family did. My parents told me that I was born to a religious family with 12 children and that they didn't want me and they left me in the garbage can. And this rabbi, very moved and incredulous to what he was hearing, said, Yaron, you don't understand. When I was born with my twin, the doctors told my mother that the twin was lost. And we always wondered why we never got the body. And I'm surprised that you're a lawyer, that you didn't research this. But at that time period, there were many stories of kidnappings where the secular authorities kidnapped religious babies and gave them over to secular families so they could be raised in the new and advanced moral civilization and not with the outdated ways of the past. At this point, Yaron is crying. He can't believe what he's hearing. And then his brother says to him, there's one way to find out if they're really brothers. Why don't you take the shofar and see if you could blow? And Yaron picks up the shofar. He's trembling and he's tearing. And sure enough, he blows it like he's been blowing his entire life. At that point, Rabbi said, Yaron, my brother, welcome home. And there are perhaps many lessons to the story. But one that I wanted to share is that no matter how far away someone runs, no matter how far and distant someone is from religion or from God, our Father in heaven always loves us. And he will always reach out to us. He will find us. He will send us messages and messengers to find a way to give us an invitation to come back home. God, our loving Creator, believes in us. And the only question is whether we can believe in ourselves. I want to wish everyone a bracha, a blessing, that we should have a ksiva, a chasima tova. We should have a new year that is filled with all the blessings of health, of wealth, of a good life, a long life, a productive life, a meaningful life. And then we should each fully reach our potential in this world.